Hello, friends. Welcome, everybody, to our first episode of Voice Notes with Friends, the podcast that was born from 15-minute long voice notes that a couple nurse coaches were sending each other across the East Coast. I am here with Ruth from New Hampshire, Kelly from New York, and Joy. Remind us where you're tuning in from again today.
Georgia.
Georgia. I
Georgia.
was going to say that. We love it, the South Coast. I mean, the South Coast. The South, period. So, this podcast is hopefully going to be a space where we can just talk about, a variety of things that are coming up in life, personally, professionally, and, some perspectives on healthcare, health and wellness in general. My name is Shannon. I am a registered nurse. I have been a nurse for about 8 years, and I am a board certified holistic nurse coach. I'm tuning in from Townsend, Massachusetts, in my backyard. I currently am building my nurse coaching practice. I'm working on a lot of community outreach. I am a big runner, hiker, dog lover, plant medicine advocate, fantasy book reader, and I love chatting with my friends. Kelly, what's going on with you?
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. I am tuning in from Brooklyn, New York on my concrete stoop. I have I have been a registered nurse for 6 years, currently graduated as a nurse practitioner. I am a mama to my beautiful baby girl who is 3 years old. I am currently building my nurse coaching business specifically for moms interested in conscious parenting, so that way we could raise confident and emotionally intelligent little humans. I am a sucker for habits. I love, love, love everything wellness. I too am a huge plant medicine advocate. Um, I love yoga. My goal is to become a yoga instructor, certified yoga instructor in Bali. And yeah, I
Mm.
love nature. I'm a big reader, and I am passing the mic to Ruth.
Hey, I'm Ruth, coming at you from New Hampshire. I live in the woods with my boyfriend and our two crazy dogs. I have been a registered nurse for 21 years, which I can't even believe that I'm saying that, mostly in psych. So before you even ask, I've already judged you and I have some thoughts about you. Um, I am building a coaching business around helping people live their best lives without alcohol. Huge advocate for plant medicine. I'm an herbalist. I'm a Reiki master. I too am also a big reader. I love to garden, be outside, lay in my hammock, go swimming, go camping, and just always looking for the next fun adventure. And what's going on with you, Joy?
Hi, I'm Joy. Again, I'm in the Peach State, Georgia. Fun fact, that was my trail name on the AT is Peach. Um, and I have been a nurse for about 14 years and mostly in the ICU. Um, and I am moving into nurse coaching. I have all sorts of ideas for programs and kind of, I guess, kind of social networks and things like that that I'm working on building. But I also want to help caregivers who are experiencing burnout because, hello, um, that has been me. And I hated feeling like I was, just an island by myself. So it inspired me to kind of seek out nurse coaching to help others in that situation. I also enjoy all the outdoors, kayaking, hiking, rock climbing, just having fun outdoors. I love being outdoors.
Yes, I love it. I love this. I love all the themes we have going on here. We have, plant medicine, we have nature, we have being active, we have reading, we have nursing, all of the things. you guys blew that out of the water. I feel like I didn't even talk about my time as a nurse. I've worked across different settings too. So my first job was a heart transplant step down unit. I transitioned outpatient, and up until this past year, I worked in pre-op PACU and in the OR. So bring with me, all that fun clinical side of things. But what I really love about nurse coaching is that it allows for the time and space for those really like healing, transformative moments that you try to fit in the 5 minutes at the bedside, in post-op, in these moments where you're like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And now, as nurse coaches, we get to, take all of that medicine and spend actual quality time connecting with the people that we're helping. Um, and I would just like to share the people that I serve as a nurse coach are people really looking to work on emotional resilience, and just understanding really complex emotions and like layered, um, you know, things that they've experienced in life. So whether that's like grief, losses, transition, trauma, things like that, the person who has been to therapy, done all the things, understands what happened and what's going on and what the emotions are, but is really ready to take that and turn it into different action in their life so they can start moving forward and kind of away from those sticky situations. Um, and I didn't mention I love comedy. So I'm currently doing a little bit of research into how I can support working comedians. So I'm going to keep y'all updated on that. I'm really excited.
Cool.
So what's going on with all of you guys today? What are some things that's been coming up in your week, in your life, in your conversations?
I think for me, I have been reflecting so much lately on the growth that I needed to do to become the best nurse coach possible. So many times lately, I say, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I say yes to these things, and then I think back on like all of the growth that I have been through, and I know each and every one of us has been through as we stepped into our roles as coaches as well as nurses. Yeah, I don't know. I think for me as a nurse, it was so easy to be part of something, a system that
Mm,
kind of tells us what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to show up. And, now that I'm an entrepreneur, we're all entrepreneurs, like it's totally different. You just have to show up in such a different way. Like when I started this journey, I really didn't even know who I was. I don't know if any of you can resonate with that
Hmm.
at all.
I thought
Um,
I knew. I thought I knew, but I
yeah,
really didn't.
yeah, I never even really gave it a thought.
And I was
So
going through the first time postpartum trenches.
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
can you say more about that, Kelly? I'd love to hear about that.
Of course. So yeah, I got into nurse coaching before I found out I was pregnant, but I guess I wasn't ready to embody that role. So it kind of slipped through the cracks. And then during postpartum, I started getting back into my routines and my habits, and that's really what helped me not experience postpartum depression, which I am
Hmm.
so grateful for. I did in small doses, um, but overall I had a good experience. And then nurse coaching just like showed back up into my world as if it was divine timing. So yeah, it helped me get through my postpartum journey and just get back on my own healing journey and be able to show up for my daughter the way that she deserved me to.
Hmm.
I
Nice.
love that. I know I love that so much about nurse coaching that like I think we can all relate to the fact that like you get into it as an escape from the bedside, right? Like
Hmm.
it's like I know me and
100%.
Kelly have joked about it. Like I was about to go work at Starbucks and that's a joke, but it's not a joke. Like I was like nursing's for the birds. I'm gonna go barista, get a like employee discount, and like that sounds like way more fun. And I found nurse coaching right at the same time, and it truly was like the light at the end of the tunnel. And it was a way for me to still be excited about using what at the time I thought was my nursing license, even though now, a lot of the work we do is nursing informed, but not necessarily
Hmm.
under our licenses. But it was a way that I didn't have to totally ditch this thing that I had spent years studying for
Hmm.
money that I gained all this experience in. And, so it started as this transition, but what it blossomed into was really just like this journey that is still so deeply ongoing of self-discovery, personal development, growth, like all these things that are like, unfortunately, I feel like becoming buzzwords, but are really like just these deeply transformative experiences that have now affected everything around me from how I
Hmm.
show up in my relationship, my friendships, the types of conversations I have. Like it really is like a doorway into a world that I think like nobody expects they're entering.
Yeah, I really resonate with that, Shannon. Thank you. And another thing I heard you say that I wanted to touch on was um, the pieces of patient care that resonated so much with me and that touched me and that kept me going back um, is that human side, the human
Mm,
and connecting with each other's humanity that we got to do in those fleeting moments where nurse coaching is kind of built around that. And I love that aspect of it. I'm like, that's my jam. I like it.
yes, 100%.
Can I just say, when I found nurse coaching, I was actually working as a secretary because I felt the same as you.
Oh, wow.
Like,
No
and I was
way.
like, oh, this will be fine. I'll love this. I hated that too. So I'm really so
Oh,
thankful
wow.
I found coaching because for me, it was a way to tie in all of the things that I had been learning, like tie it all into one and help people
Hmm.
in a way that is just uniquely me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so relate. Kelly, I know we've joked before too. Like I was going to Starbucks where you were about to go to, where were you going? Like Target or
Target,
something?
yes. Target, sign me up. You're hiring, count me in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm glad we're talking about this because it is so sad to me that this is the reality that almost, oh, like I'll say almost because I'm sure there are, however many nurses out there that do truly love their role and, maybe love
Hmm.
the organization they work for and it is what they imagined. But I do believe the majority, that is just not what happens. And what used to be like a career's worth of experiences leading to burnout as we've
Hmm.
started entering the field and as nurses now are entering the field, that is getting shorter and shorter. Like you're seeing
Hmm.
nurses get burnt out in 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, just
Yeah.
because of, the culture of it, the environment, and like it's just this, it's kind of startling to me that all of these like wonderful, loving, compassionate, giving humans are getting into this profession to help other people to truly just serve. And they're walking away, having the
Hmm.
conversations that we're having now because that's how, broken our system is, our healthcare
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. And
I
I think it's important to say at that point that it's the fault is not on the people. The fault is not on the nurses that are burning
Mm,
out. It is the system that is driving them to that. And I think if you are someone that is thriving within that system at this time, then that's great. There's nothing wrong with
mhm,
you either. But
mhm,
it's just it's for the majority of well again, the majority of people I know are at least struggling in some way within the system at this point. But
It really is unfortunate. I have firsthand witnessed this in nursing students. At
mm,
my hospital, we get at least once or twice a week. We have students from different colleges coming in and we precept them. We have summer interns And a lot of them come in with this completely different perspective of nursing. They get to the unit and they're immediately overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, how do you have six, seven, eight patients? How are you managing this? Like,
Mm,
I don't want to work at the bedside. And that's terrifying as a student nurse. I had a student intern who actually became basically a little sister to me. So I had helped her get her first job in my hospital. And it's been 6 months, and she called me the other day, basically in tears, saying, Kelly, I am ready to get out of here. I can't do it anymore. And that's so
mm,
sad because you have these compassionate, empathetic, young kids, really, that are going into nursing blindsided and they can't even last a year because the system is so broken. And at this point, I have zero confidence that it'll ever piece back together,
mm,
unfortunately.
Yeah, the way it was. I think we're going forward in a very different direction
Different.
for the best though, like
Yes.
as it should, I think.
mm,
What worked before worked for a while, but we weren't thriving. And I think, I say this all the time, if all it took to be healthy was the information, whether that's from your doctor, whoever, and a physical body, we'd all be thriving, right? We'd all be healthy. That
mm,
clearly isn't enough. There's a gap in the implementation of that, in the integration, and knowing what's good information and what's not good information, and knowing, you know, this is the information. How do I make that work for me? How do I fit that into my own life? What are the pieces that are missing for me? And again, just to bring it back, like that's why like nurse coaching is the shit because that is nurses coming out of that environment and saying this is the problem. So like let's do that. Let's
mm,
address what we haven't addressed for arguably decades.
mm,
I think you said it really
yeah.
well the other day, Kelly, when you were talking about how you want nothing to do with the traditional medical model anymore because
Mm,
it's sick care. And
Hmm.
you were saying that you wanted to focus on well care. And I just love that so, so much. I know for me with coaching, it's just so refreshing to talk about what is going right for somebody and really
Hmm.
playing off of that and like, let's use that to its fullest advantage. And
mm,
just healthcare is so negative. I don't know. That's how
Hmm.
I feel about it. And just to like see someone light up when you point out even the smallest thing that is going right, it's just, I don't know, it
Yeah.
fills me up.
mm,
I mean, for me personally, I had my own experience with the healthcare system. Back when maybe 2016, 17, I was dealing with severe panic attacks and anxiety attacks. I was referred to a cardiologist. I went to my primary, and when I explained what was going on, he immediately jumped to prescribing me Adderall and then at night Xanax. And I think that was the light bulb moment for me. Wait a minute. So you're giving me Adderall throughout the day, and then to wind me down at night, Xanax, without even doing a psych eval or understanding what exactly is going
mhm,
on in my life. That was the big light bulb moment for me, and that was even before becoming a nurse. And I healed everything that I was going through, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, by evaluating what the root cause
ah, there it
was.
is.
And that's really where my passion lies. And once you get to the root cause, a lot of it can be healed through healthier and more intentional habits, nutrient dense food. And yeah, that's really where my passion came from with the well side of things. And
Yes.
it breaks my heart just seeing the how the healthcare system is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I was glad you said that, Kelly. I was thinking that's root cause versus masking the
Hmm.
symptoms and
Yeah.
Yes.
medicating the symptoms. Yeah,
Band-aiding.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I relate to you so much, Kelly. I feel like I had like a similar almost moment like about 8 months ago where I had been dealing with these levels of just like anxiety, some depression. I was diagnosed with ADHD. I was put on Adderall, like all of the things that I feel like,
Hmm.
especially for young women and just women in general too, like that's the options you're ended up handed,
Hmm.
right? Is a pill for this, a pill for that. And
Hmm.
I, was lucky enough to be in a place in this past year where I came off my SSRI medication, and it was I felt so grateful because I had been in the nurse coaching world for a little bit now in the holistic side of things. I had resources and people I could reach out to and really good information I could pull from that supported me. It in from the conventional model, like my doctors were telling me like, "Oh no, you can just stop that. You'll be fine. You'll feel fine
Mm.
after 2 weeks." And it there was even after advocating for myself as a nurse with the knowledge I have, and like just seeing that for someone like me that still wasn't enough, it really shines a light on what I can only imagine are some of these other experiences people are having who
Hmm.
don't have the knowledge of a nursing degree and are just trying to
Hmm.
figure out how to feel good again. But it was really through doing all of this work myself, working with my own coach to get to these root causes of, some of the things that were causing me anxiety. I'm very passionate about working with people around the stories they tell themselves because of their lived experiences and really like rewriting those stories so you truly start seeing the world through a different lens. Like you can evolve, you
Hmm.
can change, you can level up at any time, but it's by shining a light on some of these things and then, creating a life that actually feels good instead of pretending to be thriving inside of the life that someone told you if you check all these boxes, then you're crushing
Hmm.
it. And you're just like, well, why does it feel so terrible then?
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, through coaching and through, in that specific instance, plant medicine, it was really how
Hmm.
I again, woke up a lot more to some of these dysfunctioning systems and was able to, I'm still doing the work, but do a lot of work that previously took me years and years to do.
Hmm.
I got chills when you were talking about that, Shannon. I
Mm,
can relate so much to that. Like, I didn't realize that I had the belief deep down that there was something horribly wrong with me because of the way that I grew up. And like, I remember one of my friends at one point looked at me and was like, "You're a good person, right? You know that." And I like almost
mm,
burst into tears. And so for me, coaching, having that safe space. Like no one, the people in my life never even took the time to ask me how I was. Like
mm,
I was always the one asking about how others were.
Hmm.
mm,
And
mhm.
to have a safe space with absolutely no judgment to like talk about these things I had hidden away so deeply, realizing it's not that big of a deal. Like no one's running away screaming. Like the freedom that I got from that
Mm.
genuinely interested in me, like, I don't know, I can't even describe how powerful that is.
It's liberating. Like I feel like really it like liberates you into the next season of life, It's like most of us were on a call last night where we were talking a lot about imposter syndrome and,
Hmm.
putting the backpack down of all these judgments you have about yourself, of all these stories you've told yourself, of all these things you believe are true about you. And sometimes it's not until you're in the presence of someone else inviting you to do that, who's also making it known that like these are wildly common experiences. We just don't talk about them, that you really
Hmm.
feel you're able to put it down and you're able to take a deep breath and
Yeah.
you're able to, not to sound corny, but really like love yourself, right? And accept yourself on that deeper level. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep. And Shannon, both you and Kelly touched on something that is really big too, and it's advocacy, self-advocacy. But like you said, Shannon, I can't, it's hard to fathom sometimes with the people that don't have a background or experience in healthcare as a nurse or in another position in healthcare to advocate. You don't know the questions to ask. There's very little time. That's one of the other hats I wear sometimes is patient advocate. And that's what drew me to that because um, I had a personal experience for that with my parents. They had a motorcycle accident in October of 23 And both were in the hospital at the same time. Both are okay today.
Oh,
But getting from that point, from accident to okay today, was a lot in between. And I was the primary caregiver as the eldest, well, the only daughter and the eldest child and nurse anyway. And so obviously everything fell to me. And it was a challenge.
Mhm.
That's one of the things that's a passion of mine today is advocating for others and teaching others how to advocate for themselves. So that's something I feel very strongly about.
Yeah. No,
I
that
love that.
me too. And it's so important. I'm actually like I'm glad you brought that up because I do feel like it's important to say as much as there is, you know, thankfully this other movement really, right, of
Hmm.
health, of wellness, of medicine that's kind
Hmm.
of coming up alongside our traditional system. It doesn't mean everyone has access to that right away.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that the old system's gonna just, either reform its way out of this or be
Hmm.
repaired overnight. So there are
Hmm.
still, yes, like populations of people that are only able to rely on the system as it is. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, patient
Yeah.
advocacy. I just realized we forgot to point out we're all colleagues on another level too. We
Yeah.
all work for the same patient advocacy company on the side of
Hmm.
building our coaching practices. So I love that. It's
Hmm.
so important.
Yes, Joy, thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that up. My father-in-law, who's mostly Spanish speaking, he has had a few obstacles
Hmm.
recently. One of them being with his blood pressure medications. He
Mm.
had two syncope episodes,
Mm.
and I looked through his medications and had asked him, "Are you taking your blood pressure before all your blood pressure meds?" And he said, "Oh, no, no. The doctor didn't tell me to do that. He
Mm.
just gave me
Mm,
the list." And it's like people who don't have the medical literacy and
Hmm.
don't
mhm,
fully speak English, it's so important for them to have somebody there to either translate or
Hmm.
really teach them. Um, because it's scary. It's dangerous. You have these people that are just taking you have a grocery list of medications
Hmm.
without
mhm.
knowing the reason why they're taking it because no one's
Yeah.
there to advocate for them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Something this is bringing up for me that I think is actually also really important to touch on along with all this is this conversation too, like it's layered and it's even more deeper and nuanced than just like
Mm.
I think some of the things we've touched upon because it's not old system versus new system. It's not the system that stinks versus the system that, is supporting people, in achieving a higher level at least of health than the old
Hmm.
one has. And there's a story that's coming up for me. Recently, I had a family member go through this very similar to you, Kelly, like a very vulnerable experience, something that was physically vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable, and her experience interacting with, the doctor's office, the healthcare system went very poorly. And
Mm.
what it ignited in my mom was, and I hope she doesn't mind me talking about her, but was frustration, right? She was frustrated for this family member that she was being treated this way. She was like, how could, the people that work in
Mm.
this type of office with this type of population be so insensitive and be so seemingly uncaring and all of this stuff? And I get it, and it made me angry too. But I said to my mom, I said, but we know why. We're nurses.
Mm.
We know why they're like that. Like it's not about blame anymore. Like we've
Mm.
transcended that. Like we know why people answering the phone at the doctor's office are so unhappy and so frustrated and rude sometimes. Not to give anyone a free pass, but like we can understand that experience. We know
Hmm.
why people aren't getting educated the way they should in the doctor's office
Hmm.
because it's all about times. It's about seeing 25 patients a
Yeah.
day. It's about reimbursement. It's about the money. It's about insurance. And I think it's important to continue to come back to this like perspective though of understanding both sides and like not making it almost like about the blame and really like putting the focus back on like how do we continue to address this and change some of these things and educate people to be able to advocate for
Mm-hmm.
themselves as we
Mm-hmm.
move forward into, this really kind of uncertain time, I think, in health and in healthcare.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's very true.
That is very true. That resonated. I'm glad you mentioned that.
I notice myself, I don't know if you guys can resonate with this, but like almost like shifting back and forth identity wise sometimes. Like, you see the memes on Instagram about like not peeing for 12 hours or the memes
Mm-hmm.
about like not to be insensitive, like the, patient who hits the call bell a million times and we all laugh
Mm-hmm.
about it and we all joke about it. And I can relate. I can relate
Mm-hmm.
to that. But I also know it's not right. But
Mm-hmm.
like when you're in it, like compassion fatigue is real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That
Yes.
honestly, that's how I knew I was getting burnt out because I am so compassionate with my patients. But I found myself and I've had patients tell me, "How are you so calm? How are you so calm?" And I attribute it to the fact that, like, I'm a mom. I have to be calm because if I'm not, I can't show up for my daughter. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually, I found myself getting irritated by
Mm-hmm.
the patients. And I felt bad. I had to take a look at myself and think,
Yep.
oh my goodness, not only am I getting irritated by my patients, but now I'm irritated at my partner. I'm
Mm,
irritated at my 1 year old who needs me most. And I'm getting irritated at myself because I can't show up for me because I'm so burnt out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it
That's 100%.
affects,
Yeah.
yeah, it affects, it drips, it leaks into the cracks and just starts affecting everybody.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I I can so relate with that, Kelly, because that's what got my attention. And when I had to step away, take a break from bedside, I was just like, I don't even know who I am anymore. This is not me. I am not this angry person. I am not this insensitive. I am not this irritable. But yes, if
Hmm.
every little time the call light would ring, it was like, oh, what now? But
Yeah.
that's not me.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
not me.
Doesn't feel good.
That's not where how I operate, and that's certainly not how I, showed up to serve my patients. But
Hmm.
I had nothing left to give. I had
Yeah.
nothing left to give.
Mhm.
So,
It's
Yeah.
real. It's real.
hmm
I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I used to wake up every morning and be like, oh my God, I have to do this again. And
hmm
Hmm.
for me, like I actually experienced the opposite. Finding coaching kind of allowed me to go back to the bedside. Um,
Hmm.
hmm
Granted, I wasn't working full time after that, but I feel like I put a lot of energy into self-care,
mm
realized the importance of it because I was
Mm.
becoming a coach. And then, like, when I showed up to work, I was just in such a better mental space. Like, I was the
Hmm.
one coming in that everyone looked forward to seeing because I wasn't like all of the other nurses and like
mm.
burnt out. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah.
were a light.
That totally makes sense because
Yes.
that's how I felt when I was showing up for myself, when I was doing my meditations, making sure I'm moving my body. Non-negotiables, making sure that I
Hmm.
am peeing and eating at work no matter what. Because if I
hmm
Hmm.
don't do that, I cannot serve my patients.
Yeah.
But I guess just like over time, the buildup between being a mom and trying to be a partner and trying to show up for myself and working in a hospital that is just draining. Yeah, I felt hurt because I found myself getting annoyed at the call light. It's like, oh, what
hmm
now? Or if I
hmm
hearing the bed alarm, oh, this patient's getting out of the bed again, and that's not me. I want to be there to fully support my patients.
hmm
Hmm.
Um, especially as someone still working in the hospital system. But it's
Yeah.
tough. It's tough to find that medium. Um, it's tough.
Yeah. I
I
truly
think they've
think,
termed that moral injury now. Is that right?
yeah.
Is that what they're calling that experience?
Yeah, moral injury and then this like
Yeah.
feeling of like dissonance where like
Hmm.
you know your values, you know who you are as a human and why you came into this, but then you see
Hmm.
yourself becoming because you're pouring from an empty cup because you know,
Right.
all of these things we're talking about, you're right, maybe becoming more reactive, becoming more,
Yeah.
resentful, a lot of these like lower level feelings that do seep in. I just wanted to say talking about this too though, like makes me want to point out every single hospital should be providing nurse coaching to their employees on every level from the start. To be in a high
Hmm.
stress environment like that, that is only continuing to be, lower staffed, pushed for time, right? Do everything faster, do it quicker,
Yeah.
but don't make any mistakes while you're doing it. Don't call out, don't take a day for yourself.
Hmm.
Like, if those are gonna continue to be the expectations, nurse coaching should 1000% be implemented for free at the
Yeah.
cost of the hospital, at the cost of the
Yes.
organization for every single employee. Because exactly what you said, Kelly, there is a way to still do both, right? There is a way to show up in a high stress environment
Hmm.
or from a place of abundance, right? You've filled your cup, you have those boundaries, you have non-negotiables, so you can still serve in this environment that is high stress, but not if you don't have the knowledge, like the education and the
Yes.
support around
Yeah.
implementing these things because it doesn't happen overnight. And a lot like if knowing was enough, we'd all be doing the things. Like sometimes it
Hmm.
takes true support, true accountability, having a space to just like say all of this out loud.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
I'm I am the person that on the unit that everyone goes to, like, oh, Kelly, look at these ingredients. Is this good? Oh, what about these mushrooms? Is this good? Because I'm always talking about this stuff because I know what works. Like, I know what
Hmm.
makes and not every, it's not a one size fits all, but I know the things that you can implement to come to work with a little bit of a smile on your face, to come to work without the moment you step on the unit. Ah, how many nurses, how many PCAs? It's just like you're starting off the
Hmm.
shift on a negative note and the energy just seeps through to everyone.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
sad. It's sad. And then you see it in the management as well. I'm blessed to have an amazing manager. She's the best manager I've ever had in my life. But you see the exhaustion that they go through too. So I understand why
Hmm.
some managers can't fully show up for their staff because just
Hmm.
everyone is burnt out.
Yeah,
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna
We're all human.
When
yeah.
I went back to bedside as a coach, the thing that I felt most out of alignment with was my coworkers. So
Mm.
going back to your point, Shannon, because they're so negative, like they're not taking care of themselves. They don't, they're burnt out. So going back to your point,
Hmm.
It
Shannon,
becomes the thing we all relate over,
it,
right? Is how miserable we are.
yeah. So yeah, if everybody had a nurse coach, I bet you all the people sh working at the hospital would show up a little bit better and
Mm,
everybody would get
It's
along a little better.
it's so interesting though because I would have, my holistic books, my nurse coaching book, my personal development books on my little med cart, and I would have doctors come by and look at my books and just give me this look as if I was crazy. Like, what are you doing? Holistic nursing, nurse coaching, what is this?
Hmm.
And it's just it breaks my heart because I wish that everyone would just listen and experience
mm,
because so much benefit comes from it, like actual life transformations. Yeah, I just had to
Yeah.
point that out. It's interesting, the perspectives.
Yeah.
I think people are really stuck in a state of either or, like feeling like you have to pick one or the other,
Mm.
and then whatever one you pick, you have to invalidate the other
Yeah.
when no one's asking you to do that. and again, I've fallen into the trap too at different times, but like, no, like the answer is like, how do we blend these things? How do we balance it back out? I don't want to get rid of modern medicine. Like
Hmm.
I always say, if I break
Right.
my leg, like please take me to the hospital, but I want to go to a hospital where the staff feels supported, where they're in a good mood for the most part, where they feel safe working in the conditions they're working in,
Hmm.
so that we can continue to support these establishments that are necessary, but with a wider lens of what else can heal people and what else can help people, outside
Yeah.
of the hospital.
Yeah. And that's a good point too, because that's the kind of stuff that trickles down too. If you feel supported, if you feel like you have value in the place of work, then you're going to do a better job. You're going to bring your A game
Absolutely.
to
Hmm.
work. And there was something else that was triggered, but it's gotten away from me, so
If it's
I'll come
meant to
back.
be, it'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm loving this conversation. I think it's so important to point out because like I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a time where I worked in, traditional medicine and I also did roll my eyes at some of this stuff. Like
Hmm.
in it again, like I think Kelly, it was you pointed it out, like don't let's all like try not to form an opinion until you experience it. Like totally.
Hmm.
Like honestly, if you experience this and you think it's for the birds still, fine. But I just do believe that if more people in that world experience this, they'd understand there is a place for both.
Yeah.
Um, in
Yeah. And I think part of what I was going to say is that I don't think any of us are advocating for all nurses leave, run. We do need nurses. And if that's, well, again, I'll repeat, I think I said this earlier, but if that's working for you, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And there's nothing wrong with you either. But I think I think it's a cumulative effect. I think it just builds kind of over the time. And then it just depends on what you bring into it to begin with too. So people are at different starting points. And I think it might be important to say here, even with nurse coaching, it's not like we get handed this magical handbook of spells that all of a sudden we can like fix everything. But what it does give us is we're challenged to look within first and to become this
Mm,
person, that we want to be a person that embodies health and wellness, and trying, just to be a good um, force in the world.
hmm
And I think that it gives permission to look at things differently and to try different things.
hmm
And I think sometimes people that are seeking out nurse coaching, they need the permission to try something different. And instead of
hmm
going with the status quo, instead of saying, well, I'm in it now, I may as well just stick it out. They need that permission. And sometimes we need ideas. Like we know in general what we need to do. We know what we need to do to be healthy, to take care of ourselves. But that accountability factor too is there, where you're going to have to look at somebody every week and say, no, I didn't do that this week. I didn't take care of myself this week. And so it
hmm
kind of pulls you up, um, with the accountability and knowing that somebody's going to be just asking you about
Yeah.
that. I just find that interesting, and that it's kind of how we all kind of work as humans. It's kind of this common thread.
Yeah.
I agree. And with nurse coaching, I know for myself, I first worked with a coach back in 2020, and I still say to this day, she is one of the major catalysts to me changing my life.
Hmm.
But it's so much deeper than just like, I know what I need to do to feel well. I know I need to
Hmm.
meditate. I know I need to move my body, but why am I not
hmm
Right.
doing these things? What's the deeper layer? What's inhibiting me from staying consistent with my habits? And for me, like that's where the whole habit tracking thing came in, because I
Mm-hmm.
use it as this data to where I can look back on and say, okay, well, I'm not reaching my business goals because I'm looking at my habit tracker and I see that I only spent 8 out of 30 days working on my
Mm-hmm.
business.
Mm,
But just, yeah, like everything has a deeper meaning. And that's where nurse coaching comes in. It helps us peel back the layers and understand why we're not reaching our goals, or why we're not becoming the person that we envision, or achieving the lifestyle that we envision. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the real beauty that I find in nurse coaching.
I like the habit tracker. I'll have to hold on to that.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Kelly's inspiring me to get into paying attention to my habits as well,
Yeah.
and implementing some good ones throughout the days, weeks, and months.
Mm-hmm.
It really is life changing. It could get overwhelming at times, but
Mm-hmm.
if you keep it simple,
Hmm.
then it will change your life. And
Hmm.
there was a time where I felt I was forcing myself to check things off, but you really have to sit down, and I was telling Shannon this yesterday, kind of reverse engineer the life and the person
Mm.
that you want to become. See the
Hmm.
person that you want to become, and what are the habits, what are the actions that this person is taking every day to achieve that lifestyle, and reverse engineer that. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I took a break when we moved from habit tracking, and I found myself like completely falling off the routine. And now I just started back, and it feels good because you really just got to hone into it and say, these are the things that I want to achieve, and these are the actions that I need to take to achieve X.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I love that perspective on it. Like it's not about being, like forced to do these things, or being like, oh, well, if I don't do these things, then I'm a bad person, or then I won't, lose this many pounds. It's really about getting even more zoomed out than that. And yeah, you're like, who do I want to be in a year?
Hmm.
And what does
Mm-hmm.
she do every day? And then be her. Like be
Yes.
her now. And remember why you want to be her. And
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, habit tracking. I mean, I think some of us were introduced to a practice yesterday of like, and in, some other programs we've worked through, but like writing it down, making it something tangible, looking at it every day, remembering why this matters. And so that, in a year, you don't look back and say, oh, if only I had stuck with that 12 months ago, then maybe I
Mm-hmm.
would have reached my goal this time. But yeah, it's like in that accountability of coaching in general, but I think specifically nurse coaching, because again, we like you do have that informed perspective of medicine, of
Mm-hmm.
systems, healthcare systems, of physiology that can keep reminding you, because yes, we are all human and
Mm-hmm.
we all do fall off and life
Mm-hmm.
happens. Like life is not going to stop happening, but it's like,
Mm.
how do you anchor in to these routines? Even when, you're moving, it's the holidays, or how do you come back to them when you notice you've fallen off? And who supports you in that? I would love to ask everybody, what is your favorite habit right now, or one that you're going to start doing again because we just talked about it?
Hmm. Just getting outside and moving my body. Um, I've mentioned a little bit ago, just walking, and I love just being outside and just hearing the sounds around me, taking in the sights, smells, the feel of the wind on my skin. It's great. So I need to get back into doing that routinely and not as sporadic as it's been lately.
I love it.
We we've added morning sunlight. So every
Mm,
morning we'll go outside, we'll have our coffee, Pay will have her little tea. But really the biggest thing for me recently is really intentional time playing with Pay. And I've
mm,
taken the time to slow down and notice the little details in her. Like
Mm.
what makes her smile? What like the tiniest details. So the intentional, real intentional time with her has been my favorite.
I love that.
Hmm.
Ruth?
I'm gonna say my dogs are barking. Can you come back to me?
Yeah, we love dogs. My dogs are barking in the house. We support pit bulls, especially rescue pit bulls in this group, by the way. They get a bad rap. We're the problem.
Yeah.
My habits right now that so I'll do two. I'll do one that I'm re-implementing and then one that's really been serving me. The one that I'm looking to implement again is a yoga practice. So
Mm.
I'm big into movement, big into fitness. I've run a marathon, multiple half marathons. Um, but I've got really injured in this last year, and something that is more important to me now than ever is cross training and is doing different, forms of fitness to support your body from different angles. So I'm going to be resuming a yoga, Pilates bar, some of these different types of slower activity movements once a
Hmm.
week. So I'm really excited about that. And then the other one that, is again a more recent one I've implemented, but is very much serving my day-to-day life and my relationship is similar to what Kelly said, but really intentional time and intentional conversations with my husband, ideally every evening, but at least multiple times throughout the week.
Hmm.
Um, we're busy people. He works. I'm building, a practice. Like life happens and life gets away from you. And we did notice that we were together all the time, but we were watching TV, we were scrolling, we were always doing something else outside of
Hmm.
just being present with one another. So we've started to, really sit with that, really try to connect more and just like have some of these deeper conversations that you have at the start of a relationship, right? And then you get busy and you realize you don't do it as much anymore. So that in just a short amount of time has been really powerful for the two of us.
Love that.
So for me, I'm going to repeat some of the same stuff that you guys have already said, but for me, it's really important to make sure the first thing I do every morning is exercise. I'm a big yoga girl. And it sets me up for a good day. That way I can't back out of it. So that's been really important. And like booking appointments so that I have the time to do that, like being really conscious about how I'm setting my day up.
Mm,
And then I'd like to focus on my diet. I'm not the best at that. I really like chocolate and sugar, so that's a goal for me, cutting out the sugar, but also what you guys have said, like less time on social media, more time like being in real life and fully present and having the conversations that really matter.
mm. I love that.
Love all of this.
Ruth, I do eat dark chocolate every day, but I think if it's dark chocolate and it's just a little bit, I think it's okay.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe that's the goal at first because I eat a lot more than that.
We're I think again, this is an awesome kind of note to land on, which is that on the themes of, being a giver, a caregiver, a fixer, an eldest daughter, a mom, all of these, roles. We all experience levels of imposter syndrome, whether that's, feeling like we need to be perfect, feeling like we're not enough, feeling like we're not doing enough, feeling like I'm not healing right, I'm not healing fast enough, but it's not that. It's just that we are all human and we're all constantly evolving and improving and going back and refining, how we're doing it.
Hmm.
Even the people that are facilitating this work for others are doing the
Hmm.
work. There's not a single one of us who hopefully looks in the mirror every day and says, I'm perfect. You
Yeah,
never know.
that's not even a thing. I don't think perfect is real.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
It's been so fun, guys. I'm so excited to keep talking to you all every week. You can catch us here for Honestly, some spontaneous conversation. We talk about all of these themes around health, wellness, growth, healing, but also life and fun stuff like plant medicine and running and hiking and what we like to do and our
Hmm.
dogs and tattoos and all types of things. But yeah, really just looking to continue to create really intentional conversation and reinvigorate people with a sense of community and of belonging.
Hmm.
Are there any notes anyone wants to leave on or
Excited
share?
for next week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
this is
I just
episode
want to
one.
be like so appreciative for each and every one of you. You've
Hmm.
each changed my life and touched my life in different ways. And this is the first time I can actually say I have like a real solid group of people who have my back. So
I agree.
Aw,
I
Me
second
too.
that. Yes.
aw,
Same. Love you guys.
yes,
Love
me
this
too.
space.
Thank you.
All
we'll see
right,
you next
everybody. We'll
week.
see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.